I have been feeling as though these pastors are just not as honest as they should be. So many people were racing to establish that his legacy was anything but Catholic, right? Like he was super duper Judeo-Christian. It registered to me like more of a cult. So Charlie's faith and what direction it was going into would actually matter, right? It would actually matter if Charlie, and I never said he was going to, decided one day to become Catholic. It would have financial implications. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor.
Candace Owens is at war with the very people that she believes are misrepresenting her late friend Charlie Kirk and what he was experiencing in the final months of his life. Now, let's begin with Charlie's religious beliefs, which I felt and thought were firmly in the evangelical camp. And as we all know, evangelicals drink the Judeo-Christian Kool-Aid, this whole idea of the importance of the modern nation state of Israel to their religion. Catholics do not, though. Catholics do not believe in this idea that there will be like a second coming of Christ, and through that second coming, those who have or who believe in Christ, those who believe in God, and those who have converted to believe in God will be saved, and everyone else, including the Jews, by the way, will perish. Okay. Apparently, Charlie Kirk was moving away from evangelicalism and moving toward Catholicism, which is what Candace Owens believes. She had made that claim before. Now, he didn't convert, she's clear about that, but he was kind of headed in that direction. And she had made that claim before. I thought it was a little sus because you need to see some evidence of that. There was nothing that he said outright or did publicly that made me think that there was anything to bolster the claim. But now she has the receipts. Take a look.
Was he becoming Catholic?
No, but he really loved Catholic Mass. He loved the ritual of it. He loved the beauty of old Catholic churches and the stained glass.
And him and Erica would go sometimes.
Yeah, well, Erica's a cradle Catholic. You can go check the videos out, him debating with Michael Knowles, in good fun. I mean, they were dear friends, but they loved kind of debating the whole Protestant versus Catholic thing.
So many people were racing to establish that his legacy was anything but Catholic, right? Like he was super duper Judeo-Christian. And ironically, it was Judeo-Christianity that I was challenging him on personally, like privately. And I was speaking to him about the political pressures of it, the way that I felt because of last year, that it registered to me like more of a cult than a true theology or a religion or a religious aspect rather. And it was back in February of this year when out of nowhere, he's the one that actually messaged me and said, and said Catholicism is sounding better and better in February of 2024. This is kind of when we started having that discussion. We should chat soon. Catholicism is looking better and better, okay?
We should chat soon. Catholicism is looking better and better. So she shares that text exchange with Charlie Kirk. Look, there is this interesting rift happening amongst Christians and Catholics in America right now, and it's over the idea of dispensationalism, which is what evangelicals believe. It's what you've talked about on the show before, Cenk, about why evangelicals find the nation state of Israel to be so important to their religion. But just based on what Candace Owens has been saying and some of the evidence that she showed in that text exchange, it does seem like Charlie Kirk was at least questioning some of his religious beliefs.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to a super relevant part of this in terms of Israel in a second, but a rabbi once told me, Judeo-Christian heritage, it's like we really could have used that in the 1940s, right? Meaning like, no, this thing's made up from like yesterday. And so who made it up and for what purpose? I mean, it's not such a bad thing. Jews and Christians getting along, I want that, that's wonderful, right? And if that's the direction they took the Judeo-Christian heritage that they made up a minute ago, great, wonderful. A new tradition that brings people together. That's not what they're using it for. They're using it for only one thing. Hence, you must bow your head to Israel. And now I am hearing from a lot of preachers and pastors, literally, okay, saying, I think we got hoodwinked. Right? Like, what is this? And then they starting to look and they're going, wait a minute, these books came out when, right? And who wrote these books and for what? They're not in the Bible. None of this stuff is in the Bible. right?
Yep.
So there's a great awakening happening at this time. And so meanwhile, everyone in power is like, shut up, stop reading the Bible, go back to the books, okay, the books we gave you. Those, the correct position is you must love the nation state of Israel. Where is Benjamin Netanyahu in the Bible? Is he in Leviticus? Is he in Luke? Where's Ben Gavir? Where's the Knesset? No, that's just, guys, I don't want to get into the history of where the Israelis came from. I'm not a religious person, so I don't really care. But what I do care about is people waking up to, oh, maybe this was not what we thought it was. Not people who were like trying to get you to love Jesus more and do good things in the world and love the Prince of Peace. Instead, it might be the Prince of War who they're asking you to back because you think the Prince of Peace wanted a genocide? Come on. So it's getting absurd. Now, Candace Owens, we're all supposed to condemn her because she said some absurd things. We're gonna get to that in a second and we'll see whether we condemn her or not, okay?
Yes, okay, so let's get to the biggest revelation from what she shared on her program yesterday, which was, well, how Charlie Kirk was actually feeling about the pressure he was receiving from pro-Israel Zionist donors to Turning Point USA, and how he felt about the notion of essentially cutting certain people from the conservative movement off and no longer being friends with them. Take a look.
So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, 2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay?
For those who are unfamiliar, Josh Hammer, I believe, was the guy who Dave Smith debated at Turning Point USA's event earlier this year on the issue, on the topic of Israel, of course. And the reference to the meeting in the Hamptons was the meeting in which basically Charlie Kirk, it's been kind of described as an intervention by Bill Ackman, who's a huge Israel supporter. Apparently, he took issue with the fact that Charlie Kirk had Dave Smith debate Josh Hammer and invited Tucker Carlson to give that speech in which Tucker Carlson talked about how Jeffrey Epstein very likely was a Mossad asset. So Israel not really loving that, and Israel supporters, huge donors to Turning Point USA, not huge fans of that. So that's why they call that intervention, to basically tell Charlie Kirk, like, you better toe the line.
And Bill Ackman's version of that story in the Hamptons is
I don't believe him at all.
Okay, but it's totally different. He says it was kumbaya, they got together, he was barely involved, and they were just trying to help Charlie, etc. So we've given his side now, okay.
That's been my experience with Zionists here in the United States. They're actually very friendly and they just want to, politely make their case. They don't smear you as an anti-Semite.
Never.
They don't go after your family members and try to get them fired from their jobs. They don't bully. They don't act like thugs at all. At all. Go ahead, Jane.
Okay, so let's note for the record, interesting. There's donors who are giving $2 million a year for pro-Israel positions at a minimum. He had $100 million budget. That is unbelievable. And remember, that's not revenue. That's just people giving you money, okay? And so, and you know what? And now that we see the messages from behind the scenes, I gotta say, you gotta give Charlie a little bit of credit for having the courage to say, I mean, I don't know that he knew anything about what was coming, obviously not, right? So I'm not referring to that. Just having the courage to say, no, I don't want your $2 million. That's pretty admirable, okay? On the other hand, he was taking it in the first place and had a very pro-Israel stance for a very, very long time. So it's a mixed bag, mixed bag. Our job is honesty, okay? So now.
Hold on, I gotta just do one more video before you share your points, because some of you might be thinking, Anna, are you really gonna trust Candace Owens? They could be totally fabricated, meaning the text exchange. Well, it turns out that Charlie Kirk's producer, Andrew Kovic, has come out to talk about the veracity of these messages. Let's take a quick look at that.
Started this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because that was a text grab, a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic.
So there you have confirmation that the messages are not fabricated, they are real. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, so look, Charlie in those messages says they're confirming the stereotypes, right? So now I disagree with that. I wanna make an important distinction. So the problem with stereotypes is that they're applied in a blanket way to everyone in that category, right? So for 99% of Jewish Americans, Jews, etc., Mossad's not calling them, Bill Ackman's not calling them, they're not part of any propaganda outlet, etc., right? They're just normal people going about their lives. But is there a group of folks who are pro-Israel Zionist zealots in this country who do bully, intimidate, and I think they're actually using the tropes as shields. They're thinking, I'm gonna go do that thing, but I can't be criticized for it, because if I'm criticized for it, I'll just say you're an anti-Semite and you're saying it about all Jews. So I'll use other Jews as human shields. And so I'll just do every one of the tropes because you're not allowed to criticize the tropes. Now, the other 99% aren't doing that at all. Okay, so don't take it out on them, right?
It's just the billionaires in America.
Yeah, but kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Larry Ellison, Bill Ackman,
yeah, it's the Ellisons snatching up, social media platforms, CBS, installing Barry Weiss as the editor-in-chief of CBS News. Are you kidding me right now? So, you think we don't see what's happening? You have David Ellison now making a play to buy CNN.
Yeah.
You probably didn't like Jeremy Diamond's reporting, did you? Anyway, it's disgusting. What's happening right now is so utterly disgusting and so brazen, but we're supposed to sit here and pretend like it's not happening. Oh, it's a trope. It's a trope to acknowledge that this is happening. Okay, great. I guess I'm repeating an accurate trope about billionaires in America violating the rights of Americans, the free speech rights of Americans, destroying our already super questionable media, news media. It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's do the throat clearing so no one calls us bad names. They're gonna call us the bad names anyway, Cenk.
Yeah, 100%. But look, so last thing on that, and then we'll get back to the main thing. So I've talked a lot about my Jewish friends, family, etc. Your best friend's Jewish.
They don't care.
No, my point is, did Larry Ellison or Bill Ackman or Netanyahu call her and say, hey, are you okay with this?
Larry Ellison can tell me how my ass tastes, okay? How about that?
Yeah,
right, disgusting, weird Oracle founder going around talking about like, yes, we're gonna surveil everybody. Everyone will be on their best behavior. Yes, you're a freak, you're a total creep.
Okay.
All right, total creep.
So my point is, do not put Larry Ellison's actions on our friends.
No, I don't, because I'm not an idiot, okay? I don't conflate a nation state with an entire group of people who have no say in what's going on in Gaza, no say over what these disgusting billionaires in America are doing. No, I don't conflate the two because I'm not stupid and I'm not hateful.
That's exactly my point. So they want to treat everyone like they're idiots. Oh, if you say I'm doing something wrong, that means you're saying millions of Jews are doing something wrong. No, brother, we didn't say that. We said you're doing something wrong. Stop deflecting and saying, not me, them, attack random Jews. No, we're not gonna do it. I don't care what you say. So now, was Charlie going to leave the pro-Israel cause? I don't know, that's what the text says. and the text is authentic. So now you could say, okay, that happens 48 hours before the shooting and it's irrelevant. It's just a random coincidence. And that's perfectly fair. We don't know yet. The government says they have evidence on Tyler Robinson, et cetera, and then some people are questioning it. I'm not that expert. I don't know. And I know for the other people, right now they're already typing out anti-Semite, conspiracy theory. Brother, if you say to me, you must agree to the official government position, otherwise you're an anti-Semite and a conspiracy theorist. I don't give a damn, man. That stuff's not working at all anymore. You could tell me to bow my head to the government and the donor class that runs the government. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care how much you yell at me or smear me, and the entire internet doesn't care anymore.
I know.
You can kiss all of our asses.
I know people have a difficult time separating things, right? But let me just be very clear. Unless I see hard evidence tying Israel to Charlie Kirk's assassination, I am not for a second going to believe that Israel was behind it, okay? There's plenty to criticize Israel on that we actually have evidence for, and assassinating Charlie Kirk is not one of those things. So put that aside. For me though, what I find super interesting is what is percolating right now with the conservative movement. Because the young conservatives who were followers of Turning Point USA, who were fans of Charlie Kirk, were consistently challenging him to his face on the topic of Israel. So he had to defend Israel knowing that young conservatives are not on board. And he needs to keep this coalition together, right? That's the whole reason why Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA exists. But at the same time, he's forced to defend the indefensible because of the Zionist donors who fund Turning Point USA. To me, that is a super interesting story, super interesting.
I mean, there's also this thing though, they're like, you have to say Israel didn't do it. Do I also have to say Afghanistan didn't do it? And Paraguay didn't do it. Why is that a requirement? What a weird requirement.
Well,
let's have the trial. Let's figure it out.
Let's also acknowledge the reason why you don't have to say that about Afghanistan or any other country is because right now the public perception of Israel is in the garbage. Let's just keep it real. The fact that there's so many Americans who literally just believe straight out or straight up that Israel assassinated Charlie Kirk.
Whoa, tons.
Yeah. And that's not good for Israel. So for Israeli civilians, Israeli citizens, check your government because your government is destroying your country.
Yeah, Anna, it's okay. They're gonna fix all that with tatas for Israel. Oh, hey, I love Israel. Okay, we covered that yesterday. $7,000 a pop. Okay, now the most important part. Look, folks say, well, Candace Owens says that First Lady of France is a penis. So you have to denounce her and never believe a word she says. Okay, so if she says the sky is blue, do I have to say that it's green? If she says the grass is green, do I have to say it's purple? Like, do I have to hate vegetarians because Hitler was a vegetarian? Or can we use our own mind to go, I agree with her on that, I do not agree with her on that. In fact, I don't agree with her on this, and this, but hey, that's an interesting point on that. Nope, condemn her in entirety. But here, she's not, I don't care about her opinions, she's showing a text, an authenticated text from Charlie Kirk. You have to ignore it, otherwise you're an anti-Semite.
Well, we're not going to. We're not going to ignore it.
What a weird request.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to say. And no matter what happens, like the answer is always you're an anti-Semite. Okay, no guys, we're super tired. Like not even tired, we're now amused by it. Like it's gotten to a comical point.
I'm not amused by it. I'm super irritated by it. I'm actually furious about it because while you and I are strong and we're not gonna cower, even when we're being threatened, even when our family members are being threatened, there are so many people in this country who do cower, who do just hang their heads, walk away, and refuse to say anything critical of what's been going on because they're afraid for their careers, they're afraid for their families. In some cases, it might be too paranoid, but even afraid for their lives. It's ridiculous. We live in America, we are Americans, we're talking about a foreign country, and we have the right to be as critical of any foreign country, including our own country, as we want. And anyone who tries to take that right away from us should be seen as the enemy. Period, end of story. Either you love this country, you believe in our Constitution, or you don't. And if you don't, I've got no interest in you. You can call me whatever you want because I don't value you as a person. Okay, I'm an American. You know, it's so crazy because I was never jingoistic. My entire life, I was never like this. I was never like, oh, I'm a big patriot. But you don't know what you have until you realize it's gone. And realizing that we don't actually live in a sovereign country, it just makes me angry and it makes me want to fight.
Yeah, so Jewish Americans have been heroic in the fight for civil rights, protecting our constitutional rights throughout American history, right? Now, when you have a couple of pro-Israel zealots pretending to speak for everyone, now they've gotten to a point that is so comical, Anna, that if you say, I'm for the First Amendment, they say anti-Semite. No, guys, no. We believe in freedom of speech. Like, by the way, an overwhelming majority, 99.9% of Jewish Americans. So this idea of like, if you don't bow your head to Israel and never criticize it, what do you mean? Of course you're allowed to criticize America, who cares, okay? Israel, you better not. Then okay, if you say you're against the first, like anyone who's for the First Amendment and says, yes, we should be allowed to criticize Israel is an anti-Semite, I don't think you realize you just escaped from a mental asylum, right?
Yeah.
And so these guys are totally nuts, but unfortunately they have an enormous amount of money and power, and they use it to intimidate not just all of us, but as we've covered over and over again on the show, also Jewish Americans. They go, you self-hating Jew, that's to take his rights away. What happened? I thought you cared about protecting Jewish people.
They wanted to.
No, you only care about protecting your beloved Israel, a foreign government, not Jewish people.
They had a problem with Dave Smith. Well, I don't think he's actually a practicing Jewish, doesn't practice Judaism, but he was raised Jewish. Like, they wanted to ban him from being at a Turning Point event because they don't agree with his take on Israel. Like, it's just gross. Anyway.
So if you don't ban the Jewish American, you're an anti-Semite.
It's ridiculous.
How could you not think it's comical?